Back with another episode of Chef's Kiss. I'm Peter, a.k.a. the Sheffield Shuffler. I'm here with John. John, first episode of the new year, correct?
That is correct.
Yes.
I would call it Victory Monday. Packers took care of the Bears yesterday, as per usual. I think we've won the last 10 games against you guys.
Yeah.
It's a great day. I'm feeling good. I've been listening to Chicago Sports Talk Radio all morning.
Yeah.
It is like,
Abysmal, probably, right?
well, it's amazing. It's like the best thing ever. It's disgusting how much joy I get out of the frustration that all of these Bears callers are calling in. And the funny thing is, I've been hearing the same stuff for 30 years. You could take that audio and take out all the specifics as far as like
Names.
names, and you could be like, "Hey, what year is this?"
Like
you could say 94. You could say 2004. You could say 2010. You could say 2020. You could say 2024. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Bears fans are so they are so upset that Jordan Love is good, and it's hilarious.
Well, John,
it's
the
so
whole
funny.
point-
Listen, like full disclosure, let me tell you something. I have to give a shout out to one of my old high school buddies who you probably know, Brian Magnus. Shout out to Brian Magnus. He is the only person, and I texted him yesterday. He is the only person that predicted that Jordan Love was going to be good. He goes, Jordan Love's going to be awesome. I bet you guys are going to get a third one in a row. I go, there's no way. I go, he sucks. Why would you give Rodgers an extension? That just doesn't happen. He's not that good. And I have low expectations. He was the only one that he goes, I think he's going to be good, dude. And he was right.
Well, nobody thought when they drafted Justin Fields that the Green Bay Packers, after Rodgers left, the whole thing was, we're going to take back the North and never get it back. Which, by the way, when Poles said that was the most uninspiring way he said it. It wasn't even, he didn't even believe when he said it.
I love your text. I love your text
quivering.
today. We were talking about the game just a little bit this morning, and you just texted back simply, quote, it's unfair.
It's unfair because nobody thought, okay, the Jordan Love was going to be better than Justin Fields, right? That was never a part of the plan. It was never part of the plan that he was going to be that good. So it's just an unfair thing where it's like, it's the same thing over and over again. And I'm sure that the talk radio was talking about Justin Fields the whole time.
Yes, and Eberflus and Hallis Hall and all of that stuff and the late hit. And then they were so angry they were complaining about the broadcast. They like Romo and Nance and how that sucked, and they were just so angry. It was the best. It was the best. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
Again, you could have taken that from any era of the last 3 decades, and it would have been just as relevant as it is today.
Yeah. Even if the Bears aren't competitive, during the season in the division or whatever, to lose to the Packers, your rival, one of the biggest rivals,
not just lose,
or what has historically been a rival. It's not a rival anymore because both teams have to win in order for it to be a rival, and that hasn't happened. And you haven't won 10 in a freaking row, dude. That's a problem, big problem.
Big problem. So we'll get into it. I have a lot of thoughts about the game. So obviously listening to Sports Talk Radio was hilarious. But Packers won 17-9. Frankly, I didn't think it was that close. The Bears got literally every single call imaginable except for the late hit on Fields, which I'm not sure was a late hit, even though Chicago was freaking out about it. Like even Gene Steratore or whatever the referee consultant on the broadcast said, if he already committed, it's not a late hit, and he led with his shoulder. But every other call, like the Bears got, and they still couldn't win. As far as the assessment of Fields goes, it's one game, so you can't assess his performance with one game. But I think watching him and then watching Jordan Love, you really saw it. And I'm not just talking about Love's ability, his touch, his ability to throw on the run, to find guys. But I think the Packers were 7 for 10 on third down, and almost all of those third downs, Like I've rewatched the highlights. I've rewatched the tape. Love slows down, and he saw it. He saw what the Bears were doing. He audibled. He moved Jones. On some of those key third down plays. But again, Packers were 7 for 10. I don't even think they punted once. That to me, like, I know it's one game, but like, you don't see Justin Fields doing that. You don't see him seeing the field. You don't see him making adjustments. You just don't see it.
John, correct me if I'm wrong. Did Justin Fields throw once in the third quarter? I believe I saw, and I didn't even think about it, but he didn't have one pass attempt in the third quarter that I saw. That is absurd.
There's so many problems with the Bears. So Wayne Larrivee is the voice of the Packers, and he came on earlier this week, and he basically dug into the numbers, and the Bears' rush defense is number 1 in the NFL. They're unbelievable against the run. And he crunched the numbers, and he went back, of course, to the 85 Bears, where I believe the 85 Bears gave up 3.4 yards a carry, and this team, the 2024 Bears defense, gives up 3.6 or 7.
Very cool.
83 yards per game from the 85 Bears, 86 or 87 per game from this defense. So this rush defense against the run is almost historically great.
Yeah.
And Aaron Jones just dominated. He ran for over 100 yards against the number 1 rush defense in the league. Like, that's just unacceptable. Also, you didn't pressure Jordan Love. The Packers figured out that if you block Montez Sweat and double team him, they really have no other threat to pass rush. Love had all day to throw. So all of the skill positions, our wide receivers, quarterback stuff, you guys got dominated by on the line of scrimmage on the offensive and defensive side of the ball.
Yeah. The thing, too, John, is I don't want to hear anybody talk about it's Week 18, they had nothing to play for, blah, 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 because this is your Super Bowl. This is the last game of the year. You're playing a rival, the biggest rival that you have, one of the biggest ones in sports historically, and you can't get up for it. You can't score. Defense held in the 17. Not bad, okay? Not bad, but like you said, and I don't want to say – tell me what you think. Does Jordan Love kind of look like a little Rodgers-esque? The way
I mean, if you're Tony Romo, he certainly did, which pissed off all of Chicago, which was hilarious. They were so sick of hearing those comparisons. But, dude, like some of the throws that he's making – I mean, Romo talked about it too. He goes, for a first-year starter, you just don't do that. You don't make those plays. He goes, even Tucker Kraft on that big third down, he goes, normally a tight end would just leak out, but he wouldn't know to cut back in to see open field, and he did that. Some of the throws Jordan Love has made in the last couple weeks have been unbelievable. I think the throw he made, it was a slant to Jaden Reed on Thanksgiving against the Lions. He threaded the needle between like 6 guys. I was impressed, and then a couple of the back foot throws are amazing. That throw to Dontavian Wicks, dude, the touch he put on that, he dropped it right in there off his back foot. He has done that time and time again the last 6 to 8 weeks. He looks super confident. Also, some of our young wide receivers are really good. Wicks will beat you off the one-on-one. He'll beat you off first step. Heath is good. Bo Melton is good. And our best wide receiver is Christian Watson, who never plays. And it looks like he's going to suit up against Dallas. I love their chances against Dallas. I'll take the Packers over Mike McCarthy any day. Yeah. And by the way, touchdown passes in the NFL, Dak is number 1. You know who's number 2? Jordan Love.
With what?
Touchdown passes.
Touchdown passes?
Threw for over 4,000 yards. He's number 2 in the NFL in touchdown passes behind Dak Prescott.
Jeez. It's good company.
It's unbelievable. He looks so good. It's not just his throws, it's his command of the offense. I was most impressed with him on third down. When he saw what the Bears were doing, when they were going to blitz, he audibled. That's what Rodgers was so great at doing. It's what Peyton Manning, obviously Tom Brady is great, is seeing a bad matchup and audibling out of a bad play into a good play. And he did that time and time again, and he did it on key third downs. The Packers pretty much did whatever they wanted on offense. And I just think, it's one game and you can't assess one sample size. It's such a small sample size. But when you saw Fields and then you saw Jordan Love, Fields has so much more game experience than Jordan Love. I know he's sat, but Fields has so many more reps. You can really see, there's a couple things you can't teach. You can't teach accuracy, and you can't teach some of the intangibles which are between the ears. And Jordan Love was able to read those defenses. Matt LaFleur, give him a ton of credit for calling a good game.
My issue here is I've said that Bears should keep Fields. They should keep him.
Okay, so let's get there. I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask you as a Bear fan. So I got questions for you. So now we're talking Bears. Where are you right now as a Bear fan? How do you feel? Where are you at? Is it just same thing all over again?
Yeah, it's. I think we talked about it in previous episodes, like an abusive relationship, right?
Yeah.
That you keep going back to. You keep getting hit in the head. Oh, baby, I'm so sorry. Like I'll never do that again. Whack. 2 weeks later, it's the same thing. Like you are an idiot if you think anything is going to change. So. It's like numb. 10 in a row, John. 10 in a row you lost to the Packers. Why would I get excited? It's like you almost get excited. You're like, oh, this is the one. This is where Fields is going to solidify himself, and he's going to beat the Packers in Lambeau, and everyone's going to rally around him and be like, that's our guy. That was the last stand, and it didn't happen. So you build this stuff up in your head, and it never comes to fruition.
Romo talked about that too. Remember, was that pass? I can't remember who was the receiver. Might have been DJ Moore. I can't remember. But Fields, one of our DBs got beat, and it was in the right corner of the end zone. And Romo was like, this guy beat the Bears wide receiver beat the Packers DB. Why would Fields throw a line drive? Liner right at, and our guy actually almost intercepted it. He goes, you got to put touch on that. He goes, that's just a weird decision by Fields. He's beat. He's in the end zone. Just float it over his head. Why are you throwing a laser when that guy was right there? I mean, we almost picked it off. Romo was confused by that, and that just told me, amongst the many things, but just Fields, just maybe not the guy. Okay, so what does Kevin Warren say during his Monday morning meeting with his coaches? Is Eberflus back?
The offense is the scheme is broken. Whatever you guys think you
so do you keep Getsy?
Adjustments at halftime. You guys are bad at it. You're not adjusting. You're not seeing what defenses are doing. You're not adjusting to it. You're not telling your players. You're not putting them in the correct positions.
LaFleur is really good in second half at adjustments. Right. He's really good.
And not just this game. It's just all season. There's I don't know. I don't know why you would bring back this group of guys. Why would you bring the same shit show back?
Do you bring back Matt Eberflus?
I wouldn't. No. Nothing.
It looks like they're going to. It looks like they're going to.
Right.
Okay.
Because they're a cheap, doing the same thing over organization. John, we talked about that in McCaskey's, right? So I'm not surprised.
But that's what they hired. That's why they hired Kevin Warren to figure this out. Mm-hmm. So that doesn't make any sense. Do you bring back Justin Fields?
I don't have confidence that the Bears know how to draft. So, I don't think, Caleb Williams, Drake May, whatever. I don't think the Bears
see tonight.
And I think even if they did get Mahomes, they would fucking crash and burn his
Mahomes
career.
Is so good. There's
Do you think he would have replicated the same career if he was
might not have 2 Super Bowls, but he would be one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL.
John,
he's so good.
No way. That group of clowns in Chicago, you think he's going to thrive? Hell no. He had the best head coach in Reed. There's no chance that you put him in Chicago and he replicates that same offense. The Bears kill quarterbacks. They do it all the time, even if they did hit on the right one. So no, I'm not convinced.
Then how come a small town like Green Bay, who doesn't have even a fraction of the resources that Chicago has, or the ability to get free agents like Chicago can, because they're a big time city. Why do we have 3 good quarterbacks? Why is Jordan Love good?
Are those all homegrown talent, John?
Yes, we drafted all of them.
Okay, you drafted.
Well, technically, Favre was at a trade with Atlanta, but Rodgers and Love, yes.
Sure. So you are very good at that. Bakhtiari. Where did Bakhtiari come from?
We drafted him.
Okay,
although he's
one of
been
the
hurt
best.
forever.
Oh, sure, but his entire career, he's a great.
He's been awesome. He's been awesome.
You can go down the line and see
and we've always had good offensive lines. Like always have a good offensive line.
So you have an organization who can pick out talent. That guy would work well in our system. This guy would do well in Green Bay. You historically have players that have done that. So I would understand why you think just draft someone that's good. Doesn't happen like that everywhere. You see it,
Yeah. So if I'm the Bears, this is what I do. If I'm Kevin Warren, I probably bring back Eberflus. I just do. Unless you can get Ben Johnson from the Lions as an offensive coordinator. I don't know if he wants to even come to the Bears because it's kind of a shit show there. But I keep Fields. Number 1 pick, I take Marvin Harrison Jr. without a doubt. Take Marvin Harrison Jr.
Marv.
You keep Fields. You either can use him if you think he'll figure it out, or you trade him, use him as a trade piece, or you have the 9th pick, so you can get Bo Nix, you can get Penix, you can get Williams. You have so many options. Getting rid, keeping Fields is the right move. There's so many options that the Bears have. Do you agree?
On what?
What I said, my strategy. What if I was Kevin Warren? What I would do.
I don't think that the Bears would hit with the 1st pick, with the 9th pick. I have no trust.
So you're just completely you think they're going to be terrible forever.
John, what have they shown me that I would have an inkling of hope anywhere? Can you point it out to me as a Packer fan? Can you point out a spotlight somewhere, a freckle of hope that would make me feel good going into next season after that? Show me where there is a speckle of hope.
I don't get how all your quarterbacks are not good. But it wasn't just Justin Fields. Everyone was bad yesterday. Your offensive line sucked. We pressured Fields all day. I think we sacked you 4 times. Your defensive line sucked. You didn't even touch Jordan Love. Aaron Jones ran over for 100 yards. You have the number 1 rush defense. You were bad in all phases.
So
I do not understand.
We've seen that with Philly. And let's move on to the Philly stuff, too.
All right.
I think that goes along with losing a locker room and players and effort.
Okay. So one of the other topics, you posted this on social. You said, that's it, the Eagles are done. I think they're going to lose to the Bucs in Tampa. A.J. Brown and Hurts are not really healthy. You're Philly, you have close attention to this team. What happened and how did Sirianni or whoever lose the locker room? What happened this year with the Eagles?
There's no identity, John. You should have an identity at this point in the season. You should know we're a speed team. The Miami Dolphins, speed. That's how we win. Motion and speed. And with a decent defense, that's our identity. Baltimore Ravens, we got a great-ass defense. And we have Lamar Jackson. That's our identity.
Yes.
The Eagles have no identity. We're going to run the ball 24 times, and DeAndre Swift's going to have 123 yards. Yeah, we're going to win. And then next game, we're going to abandon that and not feed him. We'll give him 11 touches, and then we'll lose or whatever. We're going to switch coordinators. We're going to switch guys who are making the calls and the plays. We're going to have people not getting the ball too much. There's no identity. The trajectory of the season, they were 10-1. 10-1, and even when they were 10-1, John, all even fans were saying I don't know about this team. This is a questionable Eagles team. They're not blowing teams out. They're not winning big. And then look what happened. Now they're 11-6. That's how you end the season, on a terrible skid. So you're playing, like we said, your worst football in December and January. And that is a terrible recipe. No identity, and you're playing your worst football. You got players getting injured now. It's the wheels. It's, like when you see one of those wobbly wheels on the car on the highway, and you're the faster it goes, it's about to come right off.
They're trending in the opposite. How Green Bay is trending upwards and ascending, they are plummeting, and the Bills are ascending too.
And I wouldn't be surprised if they did beat the Buccaneers, honestly. I mean, the Buccaneers put up 9 points against Carolina yesterday. One of the worst team in football.
Baker's weird, though. Great. For Baker could turn – like, Baker's weird. Sometimes Baker's terrible, but if Baker is on, he's on. Like,
I like Baker. I like him a lot. But
I don't mind. I don't mind Baker. He torched us. I mean, but we don't have a great defense at all. Sure. But he torched us. Like, he was on fire.
The thing that's really disappointing, John, is like you look at this lineup top to bottom on the roster, and you're like, man, this team is good, right? Like
on paper, you guys look great.
Right. Execution not there. Locker room. I mean, they had to go to an escape room. A.J. Brown put together a team outing to do an escape room to be like, come on, guys, let's get it together.
So my question is, like,
let's find the key.
What's changed from last year when they were like a juggernaut, or previous years? Like, what's different about this year? You say they have no identity. Is it like the coach? Is it the quarterback? What's changed?
Well, they changed offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. Those are gone. So a lot of the talk here around Philly is Sirianni gave these jobs to a couple of schmucks that didn't deserve it. And that's a pretty good argument if you're looking at, how, like you said, from last year to this year. So new coordinators that might not be qualified to operate this offense and defense. Strength of schedule last year, a lot easier than the strength of schedule this year. Even though that they weathered that storm, that hard stretch of their schedule, they weathered that storm. It's just at the end of the season started falling off. You look at leaders like Kelsey. Kelsey's old, man. I mean, I think he's my age, 35, and I'm not saying he's washed or anything, but you take a look at Lane
Fletcher
Johnson
Cox is getting up there.
Fletcher Cox. I mean, every year it's another wear and tear. The effort, the motor. You're not getting. Jordan Davis was supposed to be awesome. A lot of Philly talk saying he's fat and out of shape, and he does. His motor's not there. You got to get some sacks on third down, get some pressure. That hasn't been there. So just a collective bunch of things. I think that equates to where they're at right now, and it's bad. And you know what's funny is and as much as I root for them and I'm happy for them and stuff, as an outsider of people that hate Philly and the Eagles and stuff, like how much are they enjoying after? Remember when Sirianni, I don't hear you talking shit now.
Right.
After the Chiefs game, like, bro, here is 15 slices of humble pie.
Yeah.
Stuff it down your throat, right? And even there are Eagles fans that are like, dude, Sirianni sucks, dude. Like, he's so unlikable. Even as like your team's head coach, like he's an unlikable guy, and he's Italian. And I'm just like, dude, come on, you could like really you should be really lovable. But that kind of shit that you see is like, yeah, fuck this guy. Like, you should have some humble pie. You're obnoxious.
You're closer to the situation than I am. I didn't know he was unlikable.
Yeah, there's a lot of fans are, you keep it because you're like, you're a fan of the team. You want them to win and succeed and everything, but
you'll overlook a lot of things if he wins.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. But the second you stop winning, you're like, this guy's kind of an asshole. Yeah. That's why thank God Nick Saban is successful in college football, because I've heard he's horrible. There was a friend of a friend who worked in the compliance office at Alabama, and he's like God. He like walks on water there, but I guess he's just a prick. I guess he's
that's why
horrible. I guess he's horrible to work with and play for.
Yeah.
But he wins, so they're like, you can do whatever you want. Okay. I wanted to touch base about this because you played a great clip from one of my favorite movies, Varsity Blues. So at the end of the Saints-Falcons game, the Falcons coach was complaining that the Saints were running up the score, which later Jameis Winston basically said, yeah, we all decided that we were going to score.
It was a team decision. Yeah,
it was yeah, that was hilarious. It was such an awkward interview. Yeah. He goes, what do you think? I'm like, I was like, Jameis, you're being weird. This reporter's being weird.
Yeah.
All right, so
who do you disagree with?
Right.
Like, whoever made the call. So the team.
Right. That's a pretty good impression, actually. It's exactly
this morning.
It's exactly what he sounds like.
Respectfully.
That's exactly what he sounds like. That's pretty good because I just watched that. They just played the interview. So Arthur's who's the head coach of the Falcons, or formerly Arthur Smith, right?
Yes.
Okay, so he just got fired today along with Ron Rivera from the Commanders. But do you think running up the score is bad form? Or do you think forget it? Division rival, pedal to the metal, and shove it down their throats.
I don't think there was an issue. The issue is that they lined up in the victory formation, and then he ran the ball. That was the issue.
Yes, right? And I'm with you on that. I think that's a little sketchy.
100%.
Yes.
And as an outsider, it's hilarious because we're not playing. But if what you're doing is you are waving the white flag. Because now you're risking injury to linemen.
Right. Then you're letting their guard down, and then
you come out and shoot, and it's just like you just got a free smack in the mouth on me.
I'm with you on that.
Smack me in the mouth.
That's Bush League. I completely
cheering yeah. I would be pissed off too if I was on the other team.
I completely agree. Yes.
What you should have done if you wanted to audible, say we're lining up in the I formation, line it up and give him the ball as opposed to the victory formation. So that was the issue. And Shannon Sharp today was talking about it. He's just like, I would let him go. I would let Jameis Winston go today because that is just he went rogue. He was just like, I'm changing the play and we're doing it out of a victory formation.
Which is so Jameis Winston, who is erratic and dumb. He's both. It is so on brand for him to do that. And then of course to explain it the way he did. What a moron. Okay, let's go through wild card weekend picks. We'll start with Saturday. Browns at Texans. I got the Texans at home. I like C.J. Stroud. I like Nico Collins. I really liked what I saw. I think that team's got juice. Well. They played so well. You got Flacco, Browns. If it was in Cleveland, I might feel differently, but I'm taking the Texans. What about you?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Browns on that one.
Interesting.
For the defense and a rookie quarterback. C.J. Stroud has played awesome all season long.
He's played great.
I think there's just something about Joe Flacco, the way he's playing. I mean, there's such an ease behind how he's playing.
Well, they believe in him. That whole team is. Yes. That's another.
I've seen the memes. You've seen the pictures. Terrell Suggs, Ray Lewis, Ed Reed. They were like, this is who Joe Flacco would practice against. So these guys, this is nothing. Remember when he was sleeping on the sideline last week?
Yeah.
They're like, this is who he'd practice against. Joe Flacco has seen greatness. He knows what defense is, how they
of course, he won a Super Bowl experience. He's not going to get overwhelmed by the situation. There's one attribute about a quarterback that I think is really important, and you touched on it earlier, not with quarterbacks, but likability. If your team likes your quarterback, they will play harder for you. I think that's one of Brady's superpowers. His teammates loved him. So not only did he elevate the offense, the defense played hard for him. They're like, let's get a stop because if we give him the ball, he's going to give us the best chance to win. And I don't think Aaron Rodgers had that. I don't think all of his teammates liked him. That's been well documented. I mean, considering what the shit he's saying now, I mean, God, I cannot defend him anymore. Yeah. He has gone off the rails. And then he just said something about the Jets BS in 2024. That dude is ruining his legacy. Shut up. Get off social media. Stop talking about Pat McAfee. You are one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, but your legacy is going to be greatly tarnished if you don't shut the fuck up. Be quiet.
Another attribute I think that is important too, John, is expectations. How low are expectations? Do you think people. I mean, Joe Flacco has seen greatness. He's done great things, but
they like him. They like Joe Flacco. You see the defense. You see the offense. That whole team is rallying around him. They want him. I think Garoppolo had that. I think his teammates loved him, and I think that's one of the reasons he won a lot of games. Likability is really important as a quarterback.
They brought him in during the middle of the season. He wasn't the first choice. He wasn't the second choice.
No way.
The Jets didn't call him up, even though he was in that building when he could have backed up Rodgers. He's been looked over. So the ease, the freeness that you have when your expectations, it's not like we drafted you number one. You need to perform. Everyone's expecting I think that goes into it too. He has a relaxed mindset. Not saying that he doesn't expect anything out of himself, but just like the situation I explained.
Yes. I totally agree with you. I think it's going to be close. I'm going to take the Texans at home. I think Stroud's just on a heater right now. Dolphins at Chiefs. Definitely taking the Chiefs. The Dolphins pretty much screwed themselves. Good luck to throwing in 9-degree weather. It's supposed to be freezing cold.
It was going to feel like zero.
Zero, yeah. That game was huge last night. I think if the Dolphins win last night against the Bills and they're the 2 seed, completely changes where I think they have a chance to possibly go to the Super Bowl. Now, I think they get knocked out by the Chiefs. There's no way Tua wins in Kansas City.
They gave them every opportunity to win that game
I know.
last night too. 3 turnovers from Josh Allen. Dude, who has 3 turnovers and still wins that game?
Bad turnovers too. I'm like, what are you doing, dude?
Yeah.
What are you doing? And then you just make some miraculous play, running. I'm like, God, he's so good, but Jesus, he's so reckless.
I'm not hot weather teams, Atlanta, Miami's, when they come to play. That was a lot of the lure of playing at Soldier Field was come to Soldier Field in December and January. Same thing with Green Bay, unless you're San Francisco and you have success. But that's kind of one of those things of being a Midwest team with an outdoor stadium is come and play in the cold here and see how different it is.
Yeah, I think Tua is screwed. I think the Dolphins are done. So definitely taking Chiefs there. Let's go to Sunday. Packers at Cowboys. Mm-hmm. I think you know where I'm going with this. I'm taking the Packers. I'm taking it close. I will take the Green Bay Packers over Mike McCarthy any day. Mike McCarthy sucks. He is not a good head coach. He won that Super Bowl because he had an ascending Aaron Rodgers who was coming into a Hall of Fame career, and he had Clay Matthews and Charles Woodson. He is a bad coach, and he is really, really bad in big games. And I think the Packers are playing with house money. I got the Packers by 3 points.
Can you take your Packers hat off for a second and try to be as non-biased as possible?
The Cowboys are clearly a better team. Clearly. But I do not trust Dak in big games, and I really don't like their coach. I think LaFleur is excellent at halftime adjustments. And if they can keep this game close, because Dallas is going to score on them. It's going to be in the 30s. Love's going to have to put up 28, 30 points. And our defense is not great, and we're going to give up points. But if we can not get blown out in the first half, keep it close, I don't trust McCarthy in big games, and I don't trust Dak. I don't. We've won so many times in Dallas. And McCarthy knows nothing about this Packer team. Nothing. They're all new guys. He doesn't know anything about them.
I think the Packers are outclassed in this one, and I'll take the Cowboys in. Yeah,
that's fine. Most people are.
42
points. Yeah, people are taking them by a touchdown, but I'm taking the Packers.
Packers will have to keep up. You have to keep up scoring. That's going.
And I think they can
if you're able to. Right.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is Love is going to have to get rid of the ball quick. Parsons, the defense is no joke. I don't think we're going to be able to run the ball. I think that's going to be an issue.
Aaron Jones isn't
Hopefully but Aaron Jones looks unbelievable. Aaron Jones looks the best I've seen him all year. So he's going to have a monster game. He's going to need probably some help because they hit. Dylan's going to have to be healthy. And Watson. Watson has to play. They're a different team. I know they're an underdog, but I'm taking them close by 3. Steelers at Bills. Taking the Bills here. Josh Allen. I'm not confident in Mason Rudolph. No. So I got the Bills here. Who do you got?
I'm taking the Bills too easily.
Yeah, easily.
Sunday
night game. Sunday night game, Rams at Lions. So the trade to Jared Goff for Matthew Stafford. Stafford wins the Super Bowl. It's in Detroit. Everyone's hot on the Rams. Like, everyone thinks the Rams are going to the Super Bowl, which I think is a little bit premature. But I think this is probably the best game of the weekend.
Yeah.
I'm taking the Rams by 6. I think probably by a touchdown. I think they win.
So you said it's premature that the Rams are going to the Super Bowl, not winning this week. That's what you meant.
Correct. Yeah, I think people are like already crowning like the Rams, like, oh, this team is a completely different team. They're going to go really deep in the playoffs. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I do think they beat the Lions at home. I think they beat them by 3 to 6 points.
I love the storyline with Matt.
It's great. It's the best game of the weekend.
A playoff game in Detroit. Couldn't win a playoff game. 2 years later, wins a Super Bowl with the Rams. Jared Goff from the Rams couldn't win the Super Bowl. Goes to Detroit. The flip-flop. Dan Campbell establishing a new culture in Detroit. I know Detroit is in the same conference as the Packers and the Bears. But
I'm rooting for Detroit. I'm rooting for Detroit in this game.
Rooting for Detroit as well.
Me too.
They're a gritty team. It's hard not to like Dan Campbell.
I agree.
Their offense is exciting. Amon-Ra, Josh Reynolds. They have a very good receiving core. And obviously we know what the Rams. I think the Rams are getting hot at the right time. Both indoor teams as well.
I know. That's why I'm taking the Rams because it's indoor in Stafford's familiarity with that building. Like, that's why I just think, and you have Puka, you have Cooper Kupp.
Those guys can go off in a second too. It's like their receiving core is elite.
Yeah, and I just think they're gonna win. It'll be close, and I actually want the Lions to win because I think Jared Goff got a raw deal, and actually I think he's a lot better than people think. He does need a run game because he can't move. So it's predicated off the play action pass. But if he can set his feet and throw, he's just as accurate as anyone in the league, and he'll kill you.
Jahmyr Gibbs could be an X factor in that game.
I completely agree. They're gonna if they run the ball, they have a chance. But
I think what people were talking about earlier in the season, Johnny, if you remember, Jahmyr Gibbs not getting the ball, not getting touches. People like, what the hell's going on? And people were saying they're going to use him later in the playoffs. They want to save him. And I'm like, that sounds so stupid. It did sound stupid to me. It still does sound stupid. I don't think you save players, like put them on a clock or anything. But I guess we'll find out if he's...
I mean, LaFleur did that with Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones could have come back several weeks ago, but like he uses them when he needed them. Like Aaron Jones is like on a snap count for every game, and he literally played that entire Bears game because LaFleur needed him. Right. All right, Monday
night. I'm going Lions in that game.
You said Rams. I'm going Rams. But I don't think it's a blowout. Monday, I think this is the worst game. No offense to the Eagles. I think this is the worst game of the wild card weekend.
No, you would say Steelers-Bills would probably.
Steelers-Bills is close, but I'm like, I don't know why I'm not excited about this game. I'm not excited to watch the Eagles because they're not playing great and their team is hurt, and I don't like what I don't. I mean, I like Baker Mayfield, but like, I don't really enjoy watching the Bucs either. So, I'm actually taking the Bucs.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not. I think the Eagles win here. I think it's, I mean, as much shit as I talk about them and, they're heading the wrong direction, you just keep, like, you look at that roster, man, and they still got all the talent there, and you could put it together. And if you do, you could put up 31 points in a game.
Yeah, but again, like look at, but like you're talking about the Bears. Like, what have they shown you? Like from what I've seen from the Eagles, I do not have a lot of confidence at all. I think they don't feel good about themselves, and I don't think they have a lot of confidence coming into this.
You're going to go play in warm weather.
Yep.
Go play the Bucs.
I'm with you on that, but I also think, too, like, if Baker's on a heater, like, if Baker's hot, dude, he's really good. But he also could be terrible. Like that's the other thing. Like, he's so inconsistent. But I got the Bucs. I just think the Eagles are trending in the wrong direction.
I think the Eagles win this game next round.
Have we disagreed on every game? You picked the Browns. I picked the Texans.
We said the Bills.
We agree on the Bills and we agree on the Chiefs, but we differ on everything else. You got the Cowboys. I got Packers. I have the Rams. You have the Lions. You got the Eagles. Correct. I got the Bucs.
That's how good TV goes, baby.
All right. Last but not least, NCAA National Championship tonight. Michigan versus Washington. Who do you got?
Michigan.
I have Washington.
Do you really?
I think Michigan's hands down the better team. More talented, better blue chip 4 or 5-star recruits. It's not even close. Washington has the least amount. But I am picking Washington because I think Michael Penix Jr. is legit. I think he is so good. I think he's so accurate. He's got such a quick release. And the other thing, which he hasn't shown yet, is that dude can run. He started at Indiana as like strictly a runner, and he got injured so many times that he just became a pocket passer just to kind of preserve himself. That dude can still move. He hasn't shown that aspect of his game yet. I think he shows it tonight. Normally I would worry that Washington would not be able to stop the run of Michigan, but they did it against really elite players at Texas. So I'm picking Washington solely because I think their quarterback is that good, and I think their receivers are better.
Yeah, I don't think Penix runs tonight. We saw what Michigan did against a very good Alabama team. I don't think that this is the defense that you're going to flex on.
But I think he runs. I think he runs to throw. I don't think he runs to run.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like he'll run, because he's such a threat to throw, and he's got such a quick release. I think he'll pick his spots, but I think it'll be because of his legs. It'll open up other opportunities.
I think if the scoring gets into the 30s, I think Washington has the edge.
Washington is going to have to put up at least 4 touchdowns to win this game.
That's where I think Washington would have the edge if the scoring gets up in the 30s.
I agree.
If it is more of a hard-nosed defensive battle,
I'm with you on that. Yep. If Michigan can run against Washington, it's over. Like if I see that in the first half, I'll text you. I'll be like, I was wrong. Like can't do it. But from what I saw with Texas, I think Penix is so good. I think he's just really, really elite passer. But if Michigan can run against them and keep Penix off the field, it's over. Michigan's got it.
Yeah.
Last but not least, I want to talk to you a little bit about your new media venture. So you are the reporter for the lacrosse team in Philly, right? You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, Sheffield Shuffler officially a part of the media now. So
show your badge. Show them your credentials. Give the people what they want.
It's not counterfeit. It's real.
Did they make you skinnier in that photo? Did they shave a little bit off?
No. If anything, your cheeks are super chubs. I look like I'm holding in a shit. But yeah, man, I'm actually really proud of myself.
That's awesome.
And everything. I don't work for a big company that, kind of hooks it up and is like, oh, we'll do this. Like I created Sheffield Shuffler brand. I'm doing everything myself and, just keep, compounding interest, brick by brick kind of mentality and, trying to make connections and stuff like that. And now this is the first professional team Like I understand it's lacrosse and it's not like the biggest, attraction.
Dude, it's a huge accomplishment. It's awesome.
It is a professional team.
When you're building something from nothing and you get that, you like earn a credential based off of like solely you. Like you don't have, yes, I'm a co-host of this podcast, but you do everything else. And you earned a media credential through that. That's exactly that's awesome.
So it was very cool. Like I felt very cool. It says media on it, just to see it and like my company, my brand that I created.
You're like, I did that.
Yeah. So if you want to be, a rocket scientist, or a pilot, like you don't just hop in the plane. Like you do a lot of simulations,
reps, man,
hundreds of like a lot of reps. So. Yeah, so I'm very happy for that. So it's really cool. I get to have, a really cool experience. I go through the media entrance. I have access to the stadium. I go up to the media. We sit there. I take notes for the game. I'll write an article, make videos and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's a really cool experience. Maybe next year I'll, get the Flyers. Maybe I'll cover the Flyers next season. I'm talking to all the girls that are – it's all about the hands you shake, John. The girls in charge of the communications department.
I get it. And listen, a year, 2 years time, you'll be going to Philly. You'll be going to Citizens Bank. You'll be going to Phillies games and Lincoln Financial. It'll be awesome.
That's the goal is Citizens Bank. If I get a credential for Citizens Bank Park and I can go to work at Citizens Bank Park every day, my God, John. I mean, what a life, dude. 1 o'clock. I leave. I get.
That's your job, going to the ballpark all day, dude. That's like our dream.
Yeah, and I work from my phone, so I could do stuff from my phone for work, and then
of course.
I can, cover the game and press game conferences and stuff, all that stuff. So that brings me to my next thing I want to talk to you, and I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. So John Boy Media, they tweeted out the other day, they're hiring creators. We're looking for creators.
That's awesome.
Here's we'll see. Here's a link, so you could sign up or whatever. So I do that, right? I put all my stuff in there, blah, blah, blah. And then I send my most recent video to John Boy, Jimmy O'Brien.
Would you just DM him on Twitter?
On Instagram. Because I've done it before and I've seen that he's seen it.
Okay.
So I sent him my video. It's almost at a million views. It's like at 850,000 views.
That's
on
awesome.
Instagram. So fucking crushing in the last 2 days. And I'm like, still haven't heard from you for an interview yet, Jimmy. Can't wait to blah, blah, blah. I was like, I filled out the stuff, and I saw that he saw it, right? It says seen 8 minutes ago, whatever.
So you're like waiting for a reply.
No response, right? And I don't know if it's like a good mentality or a bad, John, but I'm always like, if you're not for me, you're against me.
So now you're like, unfollow John Boy. I don't give a shit about these recaps anymore.
I'm still giving it a grace period. I'm still, I'm still waiting. But like,
have you unfollowed any John Boy or John Boy Media social accounts? Be honest.
No.
If there is no response, will that happen potentially in the future?
No, because I like the content they put out.
They're great. Yeah, I follow all of their too. They're awesome.
Yeah, but.
And it would be so cool to like work with them. I followed their whole thing when they got like that house in Arizona and we're doing all that content stuff. I was like, God, man, I would love to do that. It's like our dream.
So I'm like, I would bring so much value to you because of the things that I do and blah, blah, blah. And there are things that they don't do that I do very well and blah, blah, blah. So
you're like, I would be the fit, like why I see it, why don't you see it? Which is basically like my whole life. I'm like,
dumb argument that you don't see the value that I would bring to your company.
I remember listening to an interview with John Mulaney, who's a very famous stand-up comedian. He's one of my favorites, and he had talked about before he was famous. He goes, I would just walk around the city and think to myself, I'm so funny, and nobody knows. And it's so sad. And I feel like that too. I'm like, I have so much to offer. I've done all these things, and I wrote a book. I've done the podcasts. Like I've written articles. Blah blah blah. It's like I'm so awesome, and nobody knows or cares. And it fucking kills me, man. It drives me crazy. I'm like, what else do I have to do?
But I keep a mental list of people, brands, things like that.
So when you get famous, you're just gonna go after him?
Well, it's almost like you're too fucking dumb to see my talent and my skill, so fuck you. I don't.
So maybe what we do is, since you're Mr. Big Time Sheffield Shuffler media credential guy, maybe you get a house in Scottsdale, whatever, this spring, and then I come out and we just do a bunch of content. I work in the social media industry. I know how to edit video. I'm good on camera. Blah blah blah. We could do it. So just rent a little place and we'll create some content for Sheffield Shuffler. I'm totally down. Be a great excuse to tell my wife, hey, I'm going to Scottsdale for a week to do spring training content.
I've been doing that, and I've been succeeding, but, like, the eyes from these companies, like, I don't know why you wouldn't be like, holy shit, this kid's he's got a lot of good videos. Let's bring him on board. Pay him $130K. Like, yeah, fucking let's do that, dude.
Yeah.
So that was just a side note. I'll keep you updated on if they do end up emailing me or not. But if they don't, John, you're on the shit list, just so you know. And we will get a house next door to them, and we'll cut the power. And we'll live stream it and maybe fight them.
Maybe fight them. Get us some fireworks, a couple cherry bombs in their toilets, shaving cream, stuff like that. Classic stuff. Yeah. I did want to ask you one question. I don't know a ton about lacrosse. Has there been anything like interesting or new that you learned about lacrosse that you didn't know before?
Bro, it is they bump music the entire time.
Like just over the stereo?
Let the bodies hit. Like open stereo during the game.
Like during the game?
During the game.
That's cool.
It's a loud speaker. Like you think like, in between innings or between plays.
Right. Like when a pitch comes, you cut the organ.
No, they're just pumping music. They have a party zone like right behind the glass.
That's
People
sick,
drinking.
dude.
They have games. Like it's a growing sport. It's not very huge.
That's awesome.
They're trying to accommodate.
It might be like the next F1 and you're on the ground floor.
It's a very fun environment, man. Like I can see why people like, especially if you grew up playing. Like I played rugby, so I went to like rugby matches that like people didn't know about. So if you played lacrosse, it makes sense you would go to this stuff. It's a fun time. It's a lot of fun.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah. Good for you, buddy.
All right, brother.
All right, bud.
Enjoy the national championship tonight.
You too, man. Thanks for everyone for listening.